Have you ever sat quietly and wondered, what does the end really look like? Not in a dramatic, Hollywood sense, but in the quiet, ordinary moments that pass unnoticed. In the way someone pushes away a spoonful of soup they used to love. Or how their voice fades just a little more each day. Most of us don't know what to look for. We think we'll see it coming. But death often arrives like a whisper, not a thunderclap. Take Maria, for instance. She was 85, spirited, sharp, and deeply loved by her family. Her favorite meal used to be a warm bowl of lentil soup, thick with garlic and pepper, the kind that warmed her bones on cold days. But one afternoon, she simply didn't want it. Maybe something lighter, she murmured. Soon, even tea lost its appeal. Her daughter began to notice the untouched cups of water on the bedside table, and how her skin looked a little more fragile. At first, they thought she was just tired. But when her doctor came to visit, he gently explained what was happening. Maria's body was slowly shutting down. It no longer prioritized hunger or thirst. It was saving its strength. And so, the family began offering her sips of warm broth and soft spoons of jelly, not to heal, but to comfort. It didn't change the outcome, but it softened the journey. This is something few of us realize, that a body nearing the end will begin to let go of things that once seemed essential. Eating becomes an afterthought. Thirst fades. And behind that physical change is another, one of dwindling energy, of bones too tired to stand, of eyes that blink more slowly than before. Imagine waking each day and feeling like your limbs are sandbags, that even reaching for the light switch feels like a monumental task. This isn't laziness or sadness, it's the body choosing what to save its energy for. Breathing. Heartbeat. Just being. That's what Maria experienced too. The woman who used to walk around her garden, trimming herbs and humming old tunes, now preferred the silence of her bedroom, curtains drawn halfway. There is something quietly heartbreaking about this gradual retreat from the world. But there's also dignity in it. And if, by chance, the weakness stems from something reversible, dehydration, vitamin deficiencies, anemia, there may still be time to offer support. Small changes, like hydration therapy or supplemental nutrients, have helped many find a second wind. But if it's not reversible, then our role becomes something else entirely, to sit, to hold hands, to witness. Then there is the cold. A chill that doesn't respond to another sweater or a cup of tea. The body, drawing its warmth inward, begins to cool at the extremities, fingers, toes, sometimes the nose. This isn't just the room being drafty. It's the body focusing on its final tasks. Circulation slows, and blood no longer reaches every corner. The result? Pale or bluish skin. A feeling of being cold to the touch, even in a warm room. Maria's granddaughter used to tuck fleece blankets around her legs and slip hand warmers into her palms. She wasn't trying to fix anything. Just trying to keep her grandmother cozy. And sometimes, that's enough. When treatment no longer aims to cure, comfort becomes sacred. One afternoon, a nurse noticed that Maria had hardly visited the bathroom. It wasn't surprising, she wasn't eating or drinking much. But as the days passed, it became clear that her kidneys were quietly bowing out. Her urine was darker, the output scarce. Her abdomen seemed a little swollen. These are all signs that the body's filtration system is struggling. When the kidneys falter, they do so in silence. Sometimes the only signs are swelling in the ankles or a bit of discomfort in the lower back. And while this can be treated in earlier stages, at the very end, the body simply doesn't have enough reserves to keep every system running. It begins to choose. It's not just the physical signs that tell us when the end draws near. Emotions change too. Mood swings, confusion, even brief moments of euphoria. It's not uncommon to hear someone say, "I need to pack for my trip," as if their soul already knows what's coming. Maria once asked her daughter to bring her suitcase. Just in case, she said with a smile. No one questioned it. They knew the journey she was talking about wasn't one requiring clothes or toiletries. It was something deeper. These shifts in behavior aren't always easy to understand, but they are a language of their own. A signal from the subconscious, perhaps. And yes, sometimes these changes are treatable, if caused by medications or imbalances, but other times, they're simply the psyche making peace. Another change that creeps in, slowly and without drama, is the fading of the senses. Colors seem less vibrant. Voices feel farther away. The once distinct taste of coffee becomes bland. The world begins to quiet, not just in sound, but in presence. Some describe it as floating in a bubble where everything is slightly removed. Maria, once a lover of violin music, didn't react the same when her granddaughter played for her. It wasn't sadness, it was something else. As though she was turning her focus inward, listening to something only she could hear. And that's often what happens. The senses fade, not because they fail, but because the body is conserving itself for the final act. This inward turn often leads to altered consciousness. Long naps stretch into days. Moments of clarity alternate with periods of fog. Sometimes, eyes open wide and focus sharply, only to close again as if nothing happened. The veil between here and there becomes thinner. Maria had a moment, just 2 days before she passed, where she turned to her family and said, "It's beautiful," then closed her eyes and smiled. That moment stayed with them. It was a reminder that even as her body faltered, her soul was still very much present. Breathing changes are perhaps the most dramatic signs that the body is nearing the end. The rhythm becomes uneven. There are long pauses, followed by sudden gasps or shallow breaths. Cheyne-Stokes breathing, doctors call it. But to loved ones, it just feels like a countdown. Each breath unpredictable, each pause a question. It's terrifying if you don't know what it means. But once you understand that the body is simply slowing down, that it's not pain or panic, just nature taking its course, it becomes a little easier to be still with it. Detachment is another sign. Not just from the world, but from the self. Some describe it as floating above their own body, or watching the room from a distance. Others stop responding to conversation, even when spoken to gently. It's not that they don't hear, it's that they're not here in the same way anymore. This detachment isn't cold. It's peaceful. Like loosening your grip after holding on too tightly. And often, it's accompanied by a kind of emotional calm. The things that once stirred fear or worry seem far away. What's left is quiet acceptance. And then, there's the silence. The loss of voice. The struggle to say, "I love you," or even, "water." Not because the person doesn't want to speak, but because the muscles simply can't. The voice box, the tongue, the breath, it all takes energy. And when energy is scarce, speech is one of the first things to go. But communication doesn't stop. A squeeze of the hand. A flutter of the eyes. The way someone relaxes when you sit beside them. Maria couldn't speak in her final hours, but her eyes spoke volumes. And her family listened, not with their ears, but with their hearts. Weight begins to drop away next. Often unnoticed at first, then suddenly alarming. Cheeks hollow. Clothes hang loose. The body, desperate for fuel, begins to feed on itself. Fat first, then muscle. This isn't about diet or exercise, it's survival. Maria, once proud of her sturdy frame, became almost bird-like. But she never complained. She seemed to understand, in a way that words couldn't express, that her body was letting go. And with the right support, nutritional supplements, soft foods, gentle massages, her family made sure she was cared for, even as the weight slipped away. Finally, there are the changes you can see with your eyes: rashes, spots, skin that bruises too easily or seems unusually fragile. Sometimes it's the liver slowing down, unable to process what it once did. sometimes it's circulation fading. Whatever the cause, these marks are like the final strokes on a painting, imperfect, but telling. Maria had a few such marks, tiny dark spots on her arms. Her family dabbed lotion on them, whispered comfort, and held her hands as the days grew quiet. And then, one evening, she was gone. No pain. No drama. Just a soft breath out, and peace. These signs, these moments, they aren't just medical events. They're part of the story of a life coming to its final chapter. Recognizing them doesn't mean you can stop what's coming. But it does mean you can be present. You can sit closer. Hold tighter. Listen longer. And that might just be the most important thing of all.